Did you know you're paying monthly for a device that works against you? In 2024, an investigation revealed that brands like GM and Honda sell your driving data to intermediaries like LexisNexis. While you drive, this spy chip, a standard cellular modem in cars post-2018, transmits your GPS location, braking patterns, and exact speed. The result? Insurance premiums that jump $400 overnight without explanation. Only 1% of drivers know they have this active surveillance terminal. Today, I'll show you how to locate it and how to disable it now to reclaim your privacy. 12. The scandal revelation. This entire privacy scandal exploded very recently, when several investigative journalists discovered that reputable manufacturers were selling detailed driving data directly to data brokers and insurance companies without clear and explicit user consent. This isn't some paranoid conspiracy theory. It's unfortunately a structured and extremely lucrative business model. Imagine your car insurance cost jumps 20% next month without warning. You call the branch office indignantly and they can't give you a clear answer or justify the increase, but the underlying reality is that your own car snitched behind your back. The system recorded that you habitually drive at 2 in the morning or that you take curves with excessive G-force, which automatically labels you as a high-risk driver. This revelation has exposed that modern cars are essentially smartphones on wheels, meticulously designed to suck up every ounce of information possible. The problem isn't limited exclusively to high-end or luxury vehicles. It directly affects popular brands that hundreds of people drive daily to work. The core of the conflict lies in the fact that this tracking feature usually comes factory-activated under seemingly harmless and beneficial names, such as connectivity services, remote diagnostics, or roadside assistance. However, behind that facade of safety and technical convenience hides a constant surveillance architecture that monetizes your daily habits. Manufacturers have turned the vehicle cabin into a massive data collection space, where every heartbreak or kilometer traveled translates into currency for third parties. While the average driver believes they're purchasing a transportation tool, they're actually acquiring a mobile sensor that documents their private life to feed the algorithms of large financial and insurance corporations. You're probably thinking your car doesn't have this because you never activated any connectivity service. Wrong. That chip has been transmitting for years even if you've never touched a single option on the screen. In 30 seconds, I'll show you exactly where it's hidden in your dashboard. 11. This is spy chip, or cellular modem now. Let's talk about the physical culprit of this privacy invasion. It's not a tiny chip extracted from a spy fiction movie. The responsible party is the telematics modem, technically known as TCU, Telematics Control Unit. This sophisticated device has its own internal SIM card, called eSIM, and remains connected continuously to the nearest cell towers. Most importantly, this system has total autonomy. It doesn't need to connect to your home Wi-Fi network, nor require you to link your personal phone to transmit information to the outside world. This modem is, in essence, the brain that enables seemingly magical functions, like opening your car doors from a mobile app or making the GPS navigation system update in real time. However, its secondary function, notably more profitable for corporations, is the constant flow of outgoing data. The collection capacity is astonishing and terrifying in equal measure. The device monitors everything from the exact steering wheel turn angle to the millimetric pressure you exert on the brake pedal at each traffic light. Most disturbing is that even if you decide not to pay for the premium connectivity subscription, the modem never rests. It remains on, capturing signals and sending basic data packets to the brand's central servers. It's the technological umbilical cord that never gets cut, functioning 24 hours a day for 365 days a year. While you drive, the car generates a detailed report that can include more than 100 data points per minute. The vast majority of drivers don't even suspect where this component is physically located in their vehicle, which is usually hidden behind the dashboard or under the seats. Thus, under a facade of modernity, the TCU becomes a silent spy that converts each trip into an income source for third parties, without the user receiving a single penny in exchange for their valuable personal information. Do you feel like your car has become an informant working behind your back? If you've noticed your insurance price went up without any logical explanation this year, tell me your experience in the comments. 10. The sweet spot of used cars. Here comes a fact that could save you thousands of dollars and headaches if you're thinking about buying a car. There's what experts call the sweet spot of used cars, and it has everything to do with this automotive espionage topic. It turns out that vehicles manufactured between 2005 and 2013 represent a golden window where you get enough modern technology to have a reliable car, but without all this integrated surveillance infrastructure. During those years, manufacturers were experimenting with telematics technology, but it wasn't standard on all models. Only high-end vehicles or those with specific premium packages included these connectivity systems. This means that if you buy a 2011 Honda Civic, a 2012 Toyota Corolla, or a 2010 Ford Focus, you have extremely high chances of getting a vehicle completely clean of any tracking module. These cars still have the benefits of modern technology like multiple airbags, stability control, ABS brakes, decent audio systems, and reasonable fuel efficiency, but without the corporate watchful eye monitoring every mile you travel. Additionally, there's another huge benefit nobody mentions. These cars are infinitely easier to repair. Since they don't have all the interconnected electronic modules of newer models, an independent mechanic can work on them without needing proprietary brand software or specialized tools that cost thousands of dollars. I've spoken with several mechanics who've confessed they prefer working with cars from this era because they're more straightforward, less prone to mysterious electronic failures, and replacement parts are abundant and economical. If you're in the market looking for a vehicle and privacy is important to you, definitely consider this window of years. Sure, you won't have giant touchscreens or voice assistants, but you'll have something much more valuable. Total control over your personal information and the peace of mind knowing your car is just that. A car, not a surveillance device on wheels, but if you already bought a 2020 or newer model, you can't return it. What you can do is cut that transmission before your next insurance premium reflects that nighttime trip from last week. The method is 2 minutes from here, and it's simpler than you think. 9. How to disable it. We've reached the part everyone was waiting for. How to disable this tracking system effectively and safely. The simplest and reversible method is to locate and remove the fuse that powers the telematics module. Before doing anything, you need to get your specific vehicle's owner's manual, because fuse location varies by make and model. Generally, these fuses are labeled as telematics, OnStar, connectivity, communication, or sometimes simply TCU. In GM vehicles with OnStar, look for a fuse labeled OnStar, or communication in the dashboard fuse box or under the hood. In Fords, it frequently appears as modem or sync in newer models. For Toyotas, it may be listed as DCM, which stands for Data Communication Module. Once you identify the correct fuse, the process is incredibly simple. Completely turn off the vehicle, locate the fuse using the plastic tweezers that normally come in the fuse box cover, gently pull upward to extract it and store it in a safe place in case you ever want to reinstall it. Here comes the important part. Many tutorials don't tell you. After removing the fuse, you'll probably see a warning light on your dashboard indicating a problem with the connectivity system or telematics services. This is completely normal and doesn't affect vehicle operation. Your car will continue functioning exactly the same, only it will no longer be transmitting information. Some people worry thinking this will affect other functions, but in the vast majority of cases, it only disables data transmission. Your local navigation system, if you have one, will keep working because it uses GPS independently. Your radio, air conditioning, engine computer, everything will continue operating perfectly. The beauty of this method is that it's completely reversible. You don't void any warranty because you're not permanently modifying anything. And if you ever need to take the car to the dealership, you simply put the fuse back temporarily. 8. What data exactly does it collect? For you to understand the magnitude of what we're talking about, you need to know exactly what information is being collected while you drive. This goes far beyond simply knowing where you are. The system records your GPS location with precision up to 10 feet every few seconds, creating a detailed map of every route you take, every place you visit and how long you stay there. But that's just the beginning. It also records your instantaneous speed and constantly compares it with the speed limits in the area where you are, which means it knows exactly when and where you exceed the permitted limit. It captures acceleration and braking data, measuring how aggressively you drive, whether you accelerate abruptly from traffic lights or if you brake suddenly frequently. All this information is processed to create a risk profile about your driving style. The system also records information about vehicle use, such as how many miles you travel daily, what times of day you drive most frequently, whether you use the car mainly in the city or on the highway, and can even detect if you make long trips during the night when statistically, there's greater risk of fatigue-related accidents. The mechanical data is equally invasive. Engine temperature, oil level, tire pressure, battery status, system error codes, real-time fuel efficiency, and even how many times you start the engine per day. Some premium brands go further and record whether you use your seatbelt, how many passengers the weight sensors in the seats detect, which vehicle functions you use most frequently, and even your personal mirror and seat configuration if you have electronic memory. Tesla is particularly aggressive in this aspect, as their vehicles even have internal cameras that can be activated and record the car's interior. All this information is stored not only on the company's servers, but also locally in the vehicle's memory, creating a black box similar to airplanes that can be accessed in case of investigations. And right now, while you watch this, that data is already tagged with your name on some server. The question isn't whether someone has it, it's who else bought it without you knowing. What's coming will make you review your last insurance bill. 7. Who has access to your information? The million-dollar question is who exactly is seeing all this information your car constantly collects? The answer will surprise you and probably annoy you. First is the vehicle manufacturer, which is the primary recipient of all this data and uses it for what they call improving customer experience and developing future products. But the reality is they also use it to identify recurring mechanical problems without having to issue costly market recalls and to send you targeted advertising about maintenance services right when their algorithms predict you'll need a repair. Then there are insurance companies, and this is where things get really murky. Although legally they should ask for your explicit permission, there's evidence that some insurers have been acquiring aggregated data from manufacturers that technically doesn't identify you personally, but can be correlated with other databases to know exactly who you are and how you drive. There's a program called UBI, or Usage-Based Insurance, where you voluntarily agree to share your driving information in exchange for discounts on your premium if you drive safely. But many don't realize that even without explicitly enrolling in these programs, certain information is already being shared. Government agencies also have access under certain circumstances. In cases of criminal investigations, they can request your vehicle's data to establish your location at specific times, and although technically they need a court order, there are legal loopholes that allow access in emergency or national security situations. Authorized brand dealerships can also access much of this information when you take your car for service, which they use to suggest repairs you may not even need yet. Finally, there's a black market for automotive databases, where supposedly anonymous information is sold to marketing companies, urban traffic analysts, navigation app developers, and basically anyone willing to pay for it. Most concerning is that many of these data transactions occur without any notification to you as the vehicle owner. 6 is the always listening microphone. Many modern cars include integrated voice assistants, similar to systems known as Alexa, or proprietary platforms developed by the manufacturers themselves. For the vehicle to respond instantly to a command like "hello," the microphones must remain in a constant active listening state. The fundamental problem lies in the fact that the processing of that voice doesn't always occur locally within the car's system. Instead, the audio is sent directly to the cloud to be analyzed by powerful external algorithms. Several alarming cases have already been documented where recordings of intimate and private conversations captured inside the cabin have ended up in the hands of technical support employees or stored on servers for training artificial intelligence systems. You should be aware that your car is, technically, a room equipped with high-sensitivity microphones where you confess deep secrets, argue with your partner about personal topics, or close deals worth many thousands of pounds under the false belief that you're in a totally private and secure space. The reality is that the cabin has transformed into an acoustic data collection center. Although manufacturers assure they only listen after an activation word, the technology frequently makes interpretation errors, accidentally activating dozens of times in a single trip. Disabling the voice assistant through the digital configuration menu is, without doubt, the first logical step any user concerned about their privacy should take. However, in an environment where software can be overwritten through wireless updates, this measure is often insufficient. If you truly value your privacy and want absolute certainty that nobody is listening to you, point 9 of our guide, which consists of the physical extraction of the fuse corresponding to the communication module, represents the only real and effective guarantee. Only by cutting physical power to the component do you ensure that the 2 or 3 microphones distributed throughout your car's ceiling stop being an open window for the prying servers of big tech corporations. 5. Interior cameras and biometrics. We're not just being listened to through virtual assistants anymore. Now, driver monitoring systems employ high-precision infrared cameras to scrutinize each of our movements, detecting signs of fatigue or phone distractions. While the corporate narrative maintains these measures are implemented exclusively for road safety reasons, a disturbing question arises. What is the final destination of that incessant flow of images? The reality seems to be much more commercial than they admit. Various patents registered by major manufacturers suggest these cameras could be used to identify specific profiles and adjust advertising on the dashboard screens. Through facial recognition algorithms, the vehicle could determine our mood or approximate age to offer us personalized products or services in real time. This represents a total invasion of personal space, converting a private journey into a monetization opportunity. Furthermore, biometric data collection has reached unprecedented levels. Some high-end models are capable of measuring exact weight in the seat or monitoring heart rate through sensors integrated in the steering wheel. These are extremely sensitive data that define our health and physical privacy. It's alarming that manufacturers possess such a volume of information without strict regulation guaranteeing these files don't end up in third-party hands, such as advertising agencies or insurance companies. We're at a crossroads where comfort and safety seem to be the Trojan horse for absolute biometric control on the roads. Wait, so far we've talked about data collection. But there's something worse: remote access. Forget the camera and microphone for a second. In point 2, I'll show you how a stranger could break your car from another country while your family is inside. 4. The black box, EDR versus the modem. It's essential to establish a clear and precise distinction to avoid confusing the EDR, Event Data Recorder, with what's popularly called the spy chip. The EDR functions as a legally regulated black box, whose technical function is to store critical data only during about 5 to 10 seconds before and after an incident or traffic accident. Its objective is purely forensic, helping police authorities and experts reconstruct events. This device is a positive tool as it saves lives by improving engineering standards and allows clarifying legal responsibilities based on objective facts. However, the real privacy conflict resides in the continuous and opaque data flow managed by the telematics modem. Unlike the black box, which remains inactive and silent unless an impact occurs, the telematics modem is constantly transmitting information, even when the journey is totally routine and safe. While you drive, this system could be sending data about your exact location, your braking habits, or the music you listen to. We could say one of these systems is designed for legal safety, while the other operates as a surveillance agent for marketing and social control. The former protects the citizen in critical moments. The latter transforms every mile traveled into a financial asset for corporations. Learning to differentiate between legitimate safety and intrusive commercial surveillance is a vital skill for any modern driver in this 21st century. We must not allow road safety justification to serve as a smokescreen to normalize incessant tracking of our private life on wheels. Transparency in handling this data is, today more than ever, an inalienable right. Before continuing, subscribe and hit like to learn more about these interesting topics. 3. Software updates that punish. Thanks to implementing that spy chip, the manufacturer acquires the ability to change the game rules while you sleep, without prior notice and in a totally invisible manner to the owner. In today's industry, alarming cases have been documented where a simple software update, remotely downloaded, deliberately reduces engine power or limits battery charging speed under the pretext of wanting to protect hardware integrity. However, it's suspicious that these technical limitations usually coincide with the launch of more recent versions, subtly pushing the user to feel the need to acquire a new model to recover lost performance. It's vital to understand that if your car weren't permanently connected to the brand's servers, the manufacturer wouldn't have the physical possibility to alter its specifications once the vehicle leaves the dealership. In the past, an automobile was a finite mechanical property. Today, constant connectivity grants them absolute power to implement planned obsolescence remotely and surgically. Under this new technological model, your car is no longer a static object or a durable consumer good. It has transformed into software with wheels, a service they control from their headquarters and can degrade at will. This dependency relationship allows companies to limit functions if the user decides to stop paying a monthly subscription, or if, simply, the board of directors decides your 5 or 6-year-old model is already considered too old for current standards. Ultimately, we're transitioning from owning a machine to being mere tenants of technology the manufacturer can manipulate remotely, reducing driver autonomy and sovereignty over their own purchase. 2. The risk of remote hacking. If data can leave your vehicle so easily, it's a logical and terrifying consequence that external commands can also enter without your consent. A connected car is, by technical definition, a car vulnerable to external interference. Various cybersecurity researchers have conclusively demonstrated it's possible to take total control of critical functions such as brakes, the steering system, and a vehicle's lighting from 12 to 20 miles away. This isn't science fiction, but the direct exploitation of vulnerabilities present in the cellular modem most modern automobiles incorporate from the factory. The danger lies in the fact that this chip has direct access to the car's CAN bus network, which acts as the vehicle's central nervous system. With everything interconnected, a computer attacker doesn't need to be physically near you, nor manipulate cables to cause you an extremely serious problem. From the comfort of a computer on another continent, a hacker could send malicious instructions that interfere with acceleration or lock doors at a critical moment. For this reason, disabling the cellular connection and limiting the automobile's digital exposure isn't simply a measure to protect your privacy from large corporations. It's a fundamental physical security action. By disconnecting that wireless bridge, you're definitively closing the digital door to possible malicious attacks that could endanger your safety and that of your passengers. Currently, there are more than 1,000 different ways malicious code could infiltrate entertainment or navigation systems to then jump to driving controls. We must reflect on whether the convenience of having a phone app to turn on the air conditioning is really worth the risk of leaving a window open to any cyber criminal. Shielding our personal space on wheels is today an absolute priority in this hyper-connected world where real autonomy seems to be disappearing. If you close this video now, tomorrow you'll keep paying to be spied on. And in 6 months, when your insurance goes up for no reason, you'll remember this exact moment. 90 seconds remain. Stay for the closing because that's where I give you the exact checklist you need to download today. 1. The future of freedom of movement. At the end of the day, this debate transcends technology and situates itself in the terrain of freedom. The car was always, for more than 100 years, the ultimate symbol of individual independence. That unique ability to start the engine and head to any destination, at any time, without any external entity being able to track every turn of the wheel or every stop along the way. However, implementation of the spy chip and permanent connectivity are systematically annihilating that romantic and necessary idea of autonomy. It seems that, as a society, we're accepting living in a glass fishbowl in exchange for a bit of technological convenience or digital functions that, in reality, aren't indispensable for the act of driving. Recovering your privacy and establishing clear boundaries with manufacturers isn't an act of paranoia or a conspiracy theory. It's an exercise in commercial self-defense. It's essential to understand that when you buy a vehicle for $20,000 or $30,000, you should be the final customer and not the product sold to third parties. There are various ways to take back control, whether by locating and removing a specific fuse, opting for more analog models from 10 or 15 years ago, or strictly and aggressively configuring privacy options in digital menus. Every small step counts to protect your privacy. We must not allow our vehicle, that private space where we converse with our family or simply reflect in silence, to become a silent informant for the police, insurance companies seeking to raise your premiums, or advertisers who want to bombard you with targeted advertising. The road should be a space of disconnection and personal enjoyment that belongs to you and no one else. Defending the right to move anonymously is defending the very essence of freedom of movement in the 21st century. If we don't draw a firm line now, the concept of private travel will completely disappear in the next 10 years, leaving our daily lives at the mercy of algorithms and corporate databases. If you made it this far, now you're part of that 1% who knows the truth. Check your manual, find that fuse, and decide for yourself how much of your life you want to share with a corporation. If this video opened your eyes, give it a good like, subscribe for more industry secrets, and share it with that friend who just bought a new car.